Recording in progress, indeed, you guys. Today I'm so excited. It's Jill from I'm Here with Magazine. We have a star in our midst, all the way from Ontario. Big fans of her, Ann Pirvu. You guys, you can't believe she is from Romania, where we're from. You guys, we
Hey!
talk about this all the time. So that is something very different for us to be able to interview somebody that's from our culture, but also somebody that we've been following for so many years since like
Aw.
2000, like I can't even remember the times, but you've been in the industry for like over a decade and you're still so young.
It's been a while.
So we're not going to say it like that. But you and your husband, Chris, have really made an
Mhm.
impact in the film and TV industry, and people out here west are noticing your
That's so
show.
kind.
Aw, and we just think you're so fun. So Anne is a part of a very cool show that's very different from what we would watch, but it's on Hollywood Suite and it's called Polly is the New Monogamy. So this lifestyle of what you guys went through as three friends trying to navigate your love lives in New York City is where it was set.
Yep.
It's really hit and is actually getting considered, is doing the campaign for consideration for a Canadian Screen Award. So congratulations. And for you as an actress as well.
Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. And I just appreciate you. And I need you to be my PR person because everything you just said just literally made my heart explode. So,
So
but
sweet.
we're all jokes aside, even
Yeah,
though the show involves a lot of joking around,
just on.
um, I feel very honored, especially with this first season of Polly, for the reception that the show has had, for the partnership with our broadcaster, Hollywood Suite, who picked us up. We were a lowly independent production,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, like the project was 7 years in the making, and it took us about 2 years to get it on its feet. And it's a group of friends, literally in real life, that sort of like really spearheaded this project with a lot of heart and a lot of love for telling this story. So it's such an honor to just be a part of, to be considered for the Canadian Screen Awards. We were
Huge,
lucky to
right? Of
win a
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were lucky to
Especially
win
for
a
you as an actress. I'm not biased or anything, right, guys? Kat Hostick did a great job. Oh my God. But
I
I
love
thought,
Kat. She's
wow, the way
amazing.
she wrote your character, like you were the star of the show. I don't want to say it like that. Everyone did an amazing job. But your character,
Yeah,
you're so,
and my character
oh my
did. She was the free spirit. My character did the most ridiculous stuff. So
Yes.
I think it's easy to remember some of the shenanigans, but there's always that one in a group of friends, right? The one that's like out there,
Outlandish. You
outlandish.
remind me of the Canadian version of Jim Carrey. I'm not
Oh,
kidding you. Like the scenes
what
that you
an
were
honor.
in were
Oh my God.
a spitting image of like a female version of somebody who, as an actress, is not afraid to do embarrassing things, personal stuff. And I'm not talking sexual stuff, guys. I'm talking about like letting her character be in it. Like the most embarrassing things you had to do on that show. I laughed out loud. You made it
Thank
really
you.
funny. But some of that
Thank you
stuff
for
you
the
went through is real life, right?
Thank you for the amazing compliment. And I just want to jump in and say that Jim Carrey is one of my biggest inspirations as an artist in my life. Like, so it's amazing that you
Hey.
just said that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. What I love most about him and what I'm honored that was reflected in the work that I did, especially with comedy, because it's such a it's either hit or miss, right?
Yeah.
But it's liberating at its core. And what I love most about Jim Carrey in the way that he approaches the work is that he talks about it being complete freedom and permission to be larger than life. And he's made a career out of that fearlessness. So on a much smaller scale, I honestly approached this character and this opportunity in a very similar, open minded, incredibly fearless
No
kind
holding
of
back.
way.
And
No
you,
hold that. Exactly.
the character that you have, is very like this era of time is going through, trying to find love and trying to make money in a very entrepreneurial, feminine way, as you said. But you captured the hearts of so many people, but you've been on our screens for so many years without really me realizing it. I went back all the way watching a lot of your shows. Learning to Love
So
was
sweet.
so good. I loved it. And
Thank you.
you work a lot with your husband and are seen in Vortex Productions. Oh my gosh, you guys. Vortex Productions is the like for me is the top, in Toronto.
That's
Like
so sweet.
you guys put out the most projects, like with Hallmark, Family Channel, Woman's Channel, Hollywood Suite, wherever it goes in the end. You guys make like wholesome, loving family shows about love. The Christmas movie, A 90s Christmas, I saw that you were a little bit in that as well. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, like,
And-
I was crying buckets. So, like, the productions that you guys do, and I know that like you're behind so much more, I think, and you know what's going on and you help your husband with producing. You're not just an actress. You've been writing, you've done cinematography and some things. So like you do everything. So, the start of like you
she needs to
being
be my publicist. I'm telling you, I don't
oh
even
my
need to.
gosh, is Chris there? Is he hearing this? The start of you, you have a different upbringing, a different start to life. And look where you are now. You are a Canadian star as is, but you're so humble and you're just an artist working hard. So this is the inspiration that I want people to learn from you is like the drive that you have. You already have your own magazine where you teach emotional intelligence. And I have learned so many things from you from that. So I think that's something too that like you're a solid person behind the scenes and people like working with you and you treat everyone really well. And that's really important as well. So,
That's very kind of you. And I got to say, at the
it
heart
must
of
be. You're
like,
one of the most working people, like busy people right now with what's going on in the world. We were chatting a little bit about how you understand all that. I don't. But
mm,
let's first talk about like your journey to Canada. You're not from here, you're from all the way from Romania.
yeah, yeah,
How did a Romanian little gal, had nothing
yes.
back then, get to where you are now, dear? How did this happen?
Total side note, I had a Romanian point of pride when I watched Sebastian Stan win his Golden Globe, literally, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, for A Different Man. You know, that movie that came out last year that was just extraordinary. And he's nominated for several things this year. But anyway, I am so proud every time I see, obviously our culture represented in such a positive way within the industry. But at the same time, for myself, I've always been very proud to be Romanian. I can remember I speak the language, I write, I was born, in Brașov, in and around the area, in Săcele, and I have my family still there. We came to Canada around a time when it wasn't out of necessity, it was out of a want for a different life, and my parents were both engineers as
Okay.
a lot of them are, so
Weird.
they very serious work that we Romanians pride ourselves in, but quite often we have, very like engineer, lawyer, doctor, like those are the things that you should aspire to be. And of course, I am the black sheep of my family that went into filmmaking. So
Artist. What is this artist you talk? How are we going to feed the children? Yeah.
let's blame Canada for that. No.
Did
Um,
that start in Romania? Did you want to be an artist or no?
three. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's like national talent shows that we used to do quite often. It was
Got the
called
kids
Keep
out
Top,
of the
Mini
country.
Top. Yeah, yeah. So, well, it's like a national search for talent, like, and so from the age of 3, I just have memories of being on stage. There's singing and dancing and poetry recitals, and I used to do regional competitions, and I used to do national. It's kind of like a pageant,
Oh,
like the Romanian version of a pageant. So I blame my mom for
To put you in those. You're so cute, of course.
putting the artistic bug in my ear, you know. But my actual love of filmmaking started when we moved.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you remember, I'm going to date myself, camcorders, like,
Yes.
you know, like the hefty camcorder that you would use to document, you know, adventures.
Yeah.
Coming to Canada and changing our lives completely was our biggest adventure. And I was 11 turning 12. So my parents got me
Okay.
this.
So you
Yeah.
were full on foreign when you came here. Oh my gosh, the language barrier, was it hard or you learned English there?
I knew 5 words like cat, dog, streets,
That's
house.
me.
Like, you know, watch, you know, so much so that when we first came to Canada, we came to Toronto,
Okay.
and then my dad was offered a job in Edmonton as an engineer from a family friend. Now, he said the only catch is like you got to be here tomorrow for the interview.
Oh,
And we were like, yeah, but we have like, you know, like 6 suitcases of our lives. There's 4 of us. And how do I get to Edmonton? Right? Like, oh, so I go to the bus station. This is how little English I spoke. And I'm the one who knows the most. Okay. My brother was like 9, and my parents were just trying their best to
yeah.
get to the bus station. And I thought that it took 15 hours to get from Toronto to Edmonton.
Yeah.
There was no flights because overnight, like we couldn't find 4 seats on a flight, so we had to take a bus. It's not 15, it's 50, 50.
Oh, gee.
So by the time we got there, like almost 3 days later, right, because you're just traveling across Canada, you know, on a bus, I could not eat fast food for a year. I didn't know what fast food was going in, but all I was having was fast food over this
Pretty
time,
similar
and I
to
was.
Canadians, to be honest. We did this as a kids too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an adventure, but I was like, never again. And then I came back to it. But yeah, by the time we got to Edmonton, you know, where my family ended up settling, the job was not existent. Not that I thought it was a very big opportunity to begin with, you know, but it basically changed our lives. So my parents ended up settling there and working with the Romanian community, which was so wonderful and helpful, you know, and I think that this is the thing that I love most about Canada, because I think there is representation for every cultural group that you can imagine within a community setting. So you can go and you can
Yeah.
find, you know, like people that will genuinely speak your language, understand what you need, what your needs are, and provide opportunities to grow, you
Oh, so
know, wherever you go.
you're settled in Alberta. Oh my God.
Yeah,
How did I connect with you, the only person in Toronto from here? Okay, that's interesting.
it's so funny because I was actually just there for Christmas. Like
Oh
I was
my
in Edmonton for the holidays. Yeah. It's ironic because
gosh.
I actually thought you knew that, but it's cool that you didn't.
I didn't know that. Oh my God, I didn't do my research on that. I'm so sorry, Hen. That was more
Yeah,
about the work that
don't
you're
be
doing.
silly.
So how did you get
Yeah.
yourself back to Ontario? I don't know exactly where you live in Ontario, but how did you get back to Toronto?
So I actually was so obsessed with filmmaking in high school that I made a feature film. I just made it my mission to, you know, convince my school that I needed some funding and, you know, help me do this thing. And they were incredible. And so we did a couple of festivals, and one of which was one in Toronto. And I just ended up coming. And then I, of course, wanted a legitimate reason to be in Toronto. And so I went to Ryerson Broadcast Journalism because that's a
Okay,
real job.
it
So,
is a real job. Your parents
what's
would be
this
proud.
acting thing that you want to do? Crazy girl. No.
But all the skills that you learned, like a lot of people, including my own parents who are journalists, went to Ryerson. It's a very prestigious place for the arts.
Oh,
Back then, they didn't say it like that, but nowadays, it's a lot of artists that I know have come out of there because learning real journalism, writing, you learn people, psychology, and
what a
arts is what
blessing.
you make it. I don't think that people understand. So I wanted people to learn from you today a little bit about the business behind it and how what we were talking about with how long it's taken you guys to even make that show, Polly is the New Monogamy. The good things take time. and the right connection and the relationship and bringing forefront of like community and love. There's a lot of people that we support and they're in the pages that just are so frustrated that they can't make it and they don't know why. They're not pretty enough. They're not this. We hear all the things. And it's kind of like the real drive is you. No one's going to actually hold your hand and say, "Oh, you're so pretty. I'm going to help you make it." It's all about creating your own life, your own vision. And where that comes from is from you. You know, it's like always,
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
be, even if you're copying somebody exactly what they did in life. So,
But see, the frustration never goes away, though. I think that that frustration that you're talking about is something that you have to embrace and you have to accept. Because what does it even mean to make it? Do you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
To me, and I think that everybody has their own definition of it. For me, for the longest time, like I started out saying, I don't care what list I'm on, A list, D list, C list, F list. I'm here. I'm gonna be doing stuff for a while. So whatever list I'm on, I don't really care because I'm just doing it. But the truth is, for me, the consistency of being able to make a living
yeah.
is the making it. And we don't often appreciate that for what it is because
Maybe it's
it's
not
not
a lot.
always,
Yeah, a lot of people
no,
think at the beginning it's not. Like
yeah,
I saw
well,
you on Rain in 2017, right? Like before I
yeah,
even knew of you. And would have said, "Oh, you made it then, being on a big
I
show."
did.
You
I
know,
was
like
like, I'm in, I'm going to book
did
every
it.
feature film from now on. You
Oh,
know what I mean? It's
Rain.
like, no, it was
Always the
years. Like,
struggle.
I did awesome stuff. I always did stuff, but it's like, I was thinking about it wrong. And I'm not saying that you're thinking about it in any way wrong at this moment or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I think that my creative journey and creative self evolved through the understanding that the wins are going to be peaks and valleys, right? It's going to be like this. It's going to be like up, down, up,
The
down, up, down.
audience doesn't see it like that. They just see, "Oh, she's on
No.
10 shows. Look at that. She's on like literally 40 shows. She made it."
Yep.
So I feel like that's not the point of being an artist, you guys, is what the other
No.
people think. It's like you can tell how much you love it. So looking at your socials, you guys have a really beautiful life and you have a really nice partner that loves you so much. That makes a
It's
big
so true.
difference as well. Someone
Yes.
who
Yes.
supports you in the home doing your art is, sometimes not a thing for people, where their
Yeah.
parents don't agree. It's the biggest one, and you got to prove yourself for so long. The friendships that you've built, like you guys have so much fun going to music. You guys love going to concerts and dressing up and having so much fun. You're not just like, "Hey, I'm a Canadian artist and I'm doing well." You're just a person and you're so
Yeah.
approachable and loving and beautiful. Like, but when you do look at your list of what you've done, I'm just like, "Oh my God." So the experience you have, you bring with you wherever you go. And you are a very smart woman. That's something I
Thank
noticed about
you. That's so
looking
kind.
looking at
I
how you
gotta say, I think that like attracts like. I'm
yeah.
looking at you right now because you gave me some very lovely compliments. And I think that a lot of it, I recognize within you. And at the same time, I have been around the industry for quite some time.
A lot.
And I think that, and I'm proud of that. Like I think that the older that you get, it's just a win to just keep coming at it and keep being in it. But
Long game
also
is the thing. Yeah.
long game, long game. But like my husband, for example, is a like mind. It's not an accident.
Mm.
I decide, and I've decided actually right before we met, which was so cool, um, that I want to work with good people. Like I want to do good work with good people. And when I'm an energy person as much as I am a, logical thinker, and I love history, and I love breaking things down. But also, there's a spiritual component to the what drives you to be able to continue in a creative field. There's a spiritual, like if you don't have the stomach for it, if you don't have the passion for it, if you're not self-starter, motivator, like it just fizzles out and you get burnt out easily. So creating a strong spiritual sense of like surrounding yourself with that type of energy of people that are just as ambitious, kind. You have to be kind to the artist. The artist is nurtured. I always thought like I want to be the best. You start, you're like, how do I get to the top of the mountain? And there were so
Yeah.
many people around
The
me at the
beginning, you
beginning
think
that
that's
were
what it is. Yeah.
aggressive, right? And it is a sport almost. Like you have to think of it as being a professional athlete. I do want to be the best in my field. I do want to do great work, but the
Yeah. If it's
cost,
coming from that, it's not where the right energy.
at what cost, right? It's like everything has a cost and an energetic tax to all of that. So now in my, understanding of who I am, doing good work with good people, appreciation, like appreciating each other's gifts and talents and encouragement and softly just being there sometimes is enough. Like
Yeah.
just saying, "Hey, you're doing good. Keep going." Like that's everything. I
It is
appreciate that more
everything.
than even like, the paycheck or the whatever.
It's a lifestyle of being happy to be an artist because the struggle of just doing it is so hard. I'm so glad that you shared that with the audience. I feel like
Yeah.
there's so much that the audience doesn't know about you, but when they see all the characters that you've chosen to play and that you like to be dynamic, I just saw like, okay, like for me, what I saw for you is that, yeah, you're going to start winning awards for sure.
Aw, that's so sweet.
You're already an
I,
award winner, but more. And I just feel kind of like you're one of the people that I'm here with is going to be watching all year, and we can't wait to see like what more you come up with. We saw that you
See,
guys,
talk about good people, like I appreciate that kind of support, period, because it's just so wonderful to be able to share in those moments.
yeah,
The
that's
the pluses,
expensive.
the good stuff and the hard stuff, and the heart stuff, as I like to say.
Yeah.
But when it comes to variety, I honestly thank you for saying that because I really do
Yeah, you could
strive
play
to.
anything, honestly. Like just because you're so cute and bubbly and fun, like I've seen you be mad at being very sexy. I've seen a lot of sides to you in the last few weeks since
Total
you've
frat
taken me.
movie. That was a gift.
I saw
Um,
that one too. That was one of your more beginning ones. I saw that, yeah, and what they made you, yeah, yeah. That's okay too.
Honestly,
That's good. Being the
it is
sexy girl
wonderful
to
to
being the
be.
powerful girl, yeah.
Yeah, it's versatility is challenging, but also I think it just keeps you reinventing yourself. It's exciting to me. It's even taking on, for example, the role of Zoe Caruana and Polly's new monogamy, right? There was a bit of nervousness to some of the stuff, right? Like it's
Like, what? I need to sit on the toilet? Oh my God, no, please. Like, but you made it so funny. It was not even where I felt like, oh my God, I'm looking at her on this. I was laughing oh my, like out loud, like, oh my God, like I
yeah,
can't
you're
believe
the
we have
best.
to go through this. But you just rock every scene that you do. And you don't, I can see that you're not in your head like, oh no, I'm doing this. Oh, you're just right in the character. I believe you every time I see you. Um,
Thank you. You try not to judge, like I think that in the way that I've always studied the art form of acting and I sometimes teach and I like to teach youth. I like to teach like 10 to 12-year-olds, kind of introduce them to the work.
cool.
And it's so important to not judge, whatever character, even sometimes like it was hard for me to wrap my head around this, but if you're playing like a serial killer, for example, right? That's very difficult because as an artist, if you judge, right? If I say like I just I can't do it
Picture.
justice, because everything comes from something, right? So that person became a serial killer, but they were a human being at one point, just figuring out, life, or a little child being influenced by some terrible things, or everything comes from something. So
Like,
I like to take that step back, and sort of objectively look at the work. And that's when you get to tell authentic stories that are different and challenging, but at the same time, very rewarding because you don't want to be stuck doing the same thing over and over and over. You want to explore and grow as an artist, or
yeah.
at least that's my hope.
Like your body of work, right? It always feels like because you guys were on like a billboard in New York with your show Polly's the New Monogamy, and you've been in
Yeah,
so many
is that
other
crazy?
projects other than this, but this seems to be the one right now in this year that's or last year as well hitting. What does that feel like that you worked so hard and long on it, and now finally the fruition of like the success that's coming, and people are starting to really notice you from all over from that role, and then watching all your other stuff, and you've got quite a few other projects coming up. And also one thing
Oh,
I noticed about you is that you're not afraid to like be in different situations where like sometimes you're the star, like in Learning to Love, sometimes you do background in producing. So I thought
yep.
like, okay, you must have like a really humble heart that you just love it so much, where some stars get to the point where they're like, I would never do a cameo, oh, and like all these things. And I just feel like you've got the ideal of being what Canadian actor is like being all in it for everybody and like being a team player thing. And the ego is not a thing. Like you're very successful, but you come off online as so approachable. And your Pet
Oh,
magazine, where you teach people emotional intelligence. If people are smart, they would tune into your podcast. It's every Soul Sunday. Sometimes you put it out Fridays. And those are
yeah.
like,
You're making me feel bad. I haven't actually done a Soul Sunday in a
you got so
while, but
many
like,
videos they can look at. Come on, they don't need to.
no, but it's so great. Honestly, that was an evolution of wanting to connect. So thank you for saying that.
Nothing to
That's
do with
so kind.
acting. Yeah, and I love that you have other things in your life other than that. That podcast is something else. Like you really are teaching people valuable lessons that like your parents should have taught us, right? So where
Yeah,
did that stem from, wanting to
it
help people like that?
it came from my acting journey, to be
Okay.
honest, and I'm insanely proud because all the trials and tribulations that this industry puts you through, I say to people like it honestly saved my life in different ways, not in a dramatic way,
Mhm.
but in the sense of understanding what it means to be a human being. Acting is the art form of life. And I kind of threw myself at it head first. Like I had no idea what I was getting into. And, I made my own feature film when I was 17 years old, taking it to like festivals and then you get to Toronto, you get to like the big fish city and you're the smallest fish and it kicks you around and you're just like your confidence gets rocked and you understand how it has to be about teamwork. Like nobody makes it in this industry on their own. And if they do, I'm power to you. I'm not saying that in a negative way, but from what I've noticed, we do need the support. We do need the connection. We this is what it means to be an artist, right? There is no art that is not shared, right?
Yeah.
Art is subjective for a reason. Like it's a connection, just like acting is a connection. And so my podcast and all the lovely things that we share together and every project I've ever been a part of is just an extension of that connection with something that matters. You know what I mean? And for me, acting opened up, like I was, not many people think about the psychological things that happen to you as you grow as an adult.
You don't
But
have
I
time
had
to pay
to.
for it all the time. You have to
Exactly. And
pay for
people have
that.
regular jobs. Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, all the lessons, like all the life lessons that I learned through being forced to look at, the choices that I was making and the reasons why I was making them and confronting your fears and the things that, who you are is such a mosaic of experience, right? That we don't often realize that like that little child that you remember being was such a sponge growing up, like, so you absorb ideas and beliefs from your
Yeah.
parents, from
Yep.
friends, from teachers, and then you get to choose as an adult, like, but you have to know that it is a choice. Some of those fears that held you back and some of those fears that weren't yours but you still absorbed, like you get to choose now as an adult to either perpetuate them,
Yeah.
make the same choices again, or shift and change and grow and deal with some harder stuff. So
You
that's
learn
what
how to
Pep
do
Mag came
that.
out of.
You learn to do that when
Totally.
I watched probably like 4 or 5 episodes just yesterday, and I was or
You're so
listened to them,
kind.
and I was just thinking to myself that like as an actor, you need to do the work mentally before you think, okay, I'm putting myself out there, guys. I think the prep work of creating your own when you are young, is a huge thing, not relying on everyone else to make you something. We were saying something today about how like the support of Hollywood Suite it can change things as well. So the
Everything.
industry itself and the stations and the money of it behind the scenes, a lot of people don't talk about that, right? Because they don't really maybe know, or artists don't, or producers, right? It's separate, to be honest. But when you step into that, you realize like what is it that makes a show amazing and how that's happening. We were if you want to share about that, the importance of everyone supporting each other and what that looks like for real to get to where
Oh
you
my
guys are
God.
being nominated. Like some people say, like, I wish a lot of people in life, they wish they could be, oh, have that success. What's that? How do I get there? But they don't know what it takes.
Yeah.
Isn't that
That's just the
interesting?
visibility, right? It's that little cherry on top of like, woohoo, you know, you did something. But I have to give a